Welcome to Club Soda's Mindful Drinking Festival. We're online, global, and as always, absolutely free. Hi, I'm Drew, and I'm one of the co-founders at Club Soda.
And I'm Laura, the other co-founder of Club Soda. We help you change your drinking in ways that help you live well. So whether you're looking to cut down, stop for a bit, or quit, you can find what you need from podcasts and books and courses on joinclubsoda.com. This festival, we've brought you an amazing lineup from over 100 people from across the world.
And our programme this time really is global.
Every day starts down under with me, Sarah. As well as organising the festival in Australia, I spend my time looking for alcohol-free alternatives and tips for people who choose not to drink, but who still want to live a social, fun and adventurous life.
And I'll be wrapping up each day here in the States. I'm Amanda, your US festival host and coordinator, and I'm also a mindset coach who helps women change their relationship with alcohol so that they can start living their most authentic life.
Each day with a rolling programme of inspirational panels, conversations, social events, and opportunities to discover new low and low alcohol drinks.
So whether you want inspiration to change your drinking,
Or to connect with other people,
or you want to discover and enjoy a new low and no alcohol drink,
The Mindful Drinking Festival is for you.
cheers!
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 cheers.
So everybody, welcome. We're live for our final UK session of the day. There are some American sessions coming later, but we are here now today with an amazing panel. Oh my God, I should have looked at all your biographies before. I just get so used to knowing you all that I forget that like a proper host should actually find out more. But that's okay, because we've got time. So welcome all here to a session which I'm calling Drinking, Eating, Laughing, Dancing. They're all the social things that we love to do as human beings. Generally, when there isn't a lockdown, I appreciate that some of that might have been a bit difficult recently, but they're often things that we're frightened about doing once we've gone alcohol free. They're really, really, we can get quite anxious about how we're going to order a drink at the bar. We get bar panic, or we are not sure really how we're going to do the nightclub sober. So we've brought some experts here for you today. First of all, we've got, you can unmute yourself, guys, now. They're very obedient. You must mute yourself. And they've all been very good at doing that. First of all, we've got Camille Vidal, who some of you will know from La Maison Wellness. She makes the most amazing cocktails, and you'd have seen at our previous festivals. So she's going to talk to us about drinking more mindfully when we're out. Then we've got Alex, who some of you will follow on social media as the sober sommelier. And eating and what to drink when you're eating, again, is something that can be really problematic when we're out and knowing what to pick. And I'm hoping, Alex, you're going to help us talk about how we deal with snooty wine waiters.
Absolutely.
I hope that's going
Yes,
to come
that's
up.
coming. I've got a story ready, don't worry.
Cool. And also the reason why he's really grainy is because he's in some exotic location in some villa or something. So don't feel sorry for him that he's got crap broadband, all right? He's not in East London. Next, we've got Amber Tozer. Again, some of you would have seen her at our very first festival, and she's the author of Sober Stick Figure. And she's a comedian and has learned how to laugh sober herself and also make people laugh sober. And then finally, we've got Carly Benson. And miracles are what?
Brewing.
Brewing. And Carly is still a diva on the dance floor and really enjoys dancing. And do you do festivals as well, Carly?
Oh yeah, I'll list out some of the ones I've gone to for sure.
And all of everyone panics about going to a festival sober. And so again, so this is all about key life skills here today. So rather than do a panel with lots of questions, although you will certainly be able to ask questions, and somebody's already said so many people she adores on the screen all at once. Oh, Alex, we must be talking about you, even though we can't hardly see you with your fuzzy screen. I'm going to give everybody 5 minutes, what has been a rather elastic piece of time, as I've been telling people, to talk about each of those themes in turn. And then we're going to take questions from you. I can see all of your questions. So please put them in. Don't hold back. Start asking them now. Ask them in the sidebar. If they're for someone specific, let me know. I'm going to look at, that's why I'm looking here. This is where I'm seeing you guys. I'm going to ask all these questions. But first of all, I'm going to kick off with Camille, who's going to tell us how to drink more mindfully when we're out.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having me. Talking about cocktail is definitely a passion of mine and something that I've been doing for so many years. And having spent my entire career in hospitality industry, working all around the world and having had the opportunity to go to so many different cocktail bars, I really realized that there was two things. First, when we talk about drinking cocktail, we assume that it's with alcohol. I'm sure that many of you, even on this panel, have said before, oh no, I'm not going out tonight, I'm not drinking. Well, guess what? You are drinking, you're just not drinking alcohol. And I think that with La Maison Wellness, I really wanted to change this idea and this concept of like cocktail had to be alcoholic. If you look at the definition of cocktail, nothing say it has to be high in ABV. And so really I wanted to show that tasty doesn't have to be boozy, and actually the alcohol content in the cocktail is not what you remember the day after, or although depending on how you feel the day after, that might be what you remember, but actually a cocktail is so much more than that. So by launching La Maison Wellness, I wanted to create a platform where people could find inspiration on how to drink delicious cocktail and find a solution to have non-alcoholic cocktail, but also to learn how you could moderate. I think that because the mindful drinking movement is still quite new to a lot of people, we kind of like throw all of us in the same basket. You know, we're all mindful drinkers, but everyone kind of assumed that being a mindful drinker means that you don't drink alcohol at all. And I think that it's important to understand that there's so many different types of mindful drinker. There's the people that actually decide that like alcohol is just not for them. I remember having this conversation with Laura, and she said to me, because I drink alcohol very, very mindfully, but still occasionally I will have a glass of wine or something like that. And she just said to me, well, that's fine. You just have half of the superpower, but which is true. But I think that like we're all different mindful drinkers. And so what I wanted to do with La Maison Wellness was to give option for everyone, to have an option that is really inclusive. And then the other thing is, bars are doing so much better, and I loved, watching some of the conversation in the Mindful Drinking Festival today with so many amazing bars really working hard on making their offer more and more inclusive and having a non-alcoholic cocktail and low ABV cocktail, and really understanding the importance of being able to look after every single guest that walk into your bar. And that's changing. There's still loads of places where you will walk in, and if you want something non-alcoholic, well, you will feel like that it will be a soda or a glass of water, or you feel like you have to order from the kids menu, or you definitely feel like a second class guest. But this is changing, and I think that we are making a difference all together with, Club Soda and other incredible organizations that are pushing the boundaries of mindful drinking. But I think we all had that. And even myself, that have been working in the cocktail industry for my entire career, I go to bars and sometimes I'm like, oh gosh, what am I going to order? And very often we either like fall into habits and we end up with a glass of something that is not especially what we want to drink, or we're going to go with, I will have whatever you're having, which this is never a good solution because we all have different taste and different flavor. And so I think that like understanding what you like, understanding what type of mindful drinker you are, and having different, looking at menus before going to bars, it's a good thing to do as well, and looking at the different options, knowing the non-alcoholic spirits that you like, or the cocktail that you like, the very simple recipes that you can order at every single places. For example, today I posted on La Maison Wellness a recipe that I created for Laura for Club Soda, which is called the Mindful Laura, and it's a really simple drink made with apple juice, ginger beer, soda water, and 3 dashes of Angostura. You can get that in pretty much every single pub in the UK. Angostura bitters is something that you will find everywhere, and because it's 3 dashes, it is below 0.5. So that's something that is non-alcoholic. It's super simple, but you can have everywhere. And I think that for me, what I tend to do when I go out and I go to places where I don't really know what they have on the menu, instead of feeling under pressure of ordering something because the waiter or the waitress is coming over, or because the rest of the table is actually ordering and I'm not really ready for that, I tend to either order something non-alcoholic to start the evening with. And that can be just like, you know, either something that they have on the menu, or I even just started with some sparkling water with some fresh lime, just to have the time to actually decide, do I want to drink alcohol tonight or I don't? Do I know what I want to drink if I want to have something that is, you know, low ABV or non-alcoholic? And I have the time to really read the menu, have a look at the bar. I always come up to the bar and like look at the back bar to see what they have. So then I don't feel under pressure on what do I need to order just because the rest of the group is ordering, or just because the staff is, you know, waiting obviously for me to order. I really believe that like cocktail is an incredible way to bring people together. You know, we have this amazing connection around food and drinks. I mean, Alex, you're in the south of France. I'm sure that you're enjoying that even more in the beautiful weather and the outer space there. But I really believe that it's an amazing moment of connection. But I also truly believe that flavor and connection and community is what make a cocktail an incredible experience and an incredible moment, more than actually is it alcoholic or non-alcoholic. And I think that we're really changing the mindset at the moment, and we're pushing the boundaries of what can be done. And to be honest, I launched La Maison Wellness for that reason, because after having spent 15 years in hospitality industry, I was really disappointed by the offer that was in most of the places. You know, I had the chance to work with so many bartenders and to bartend myself, and they were putting so much love and craft into what they were creating for cocktails. But when it was coming to non-alcoholic cocktail, they weren't that passionate. But this is changing, and now more and more places are offering. So when it comes to cocktail creation, I always look at 3 different things on how you can create a cocktail or how you can order at the bar. First of all, as I was saying, is to start with awareness. Depending if you are, you know, a mindful drinker that is alcohol-free, then for you, you know that you're going to go for something that is non-alcoholic. But if you are a mindful drinker that is, you know, moderating, take the time to actually figure out what you want to drink tonight, what kind of experience you want to have, and have a time to like decide on the menu what is resonated with you. And then I take those like sort of like 3 different ways to doing it. So either you remove the alcohol from the cocktail, and then you put something that is non-alcoholic. So you could pick your favorite cocktail. Like I think a lot of people, when they go alcohol-free or when they decide to moderate, they feel like they're gonna say goodbye to their espresso martini, and that's their favorite cocktail, or their Negroni, and they will never be able to have something like that. When actually you can still tell the bartender, well, I love an espresso martini, but actually I don't want to drink alcohol tonight. Can you make something similar? And the bartender will be able to create something in that sort of like test profile, or actually to say, well, we have this non-alcoholic spirits, I'm just going to replace it with that. You can also ask to reduce the alcohol content. I think very often we kind of assume that, like, you know, we go to the pub and they're like, do you want a single or double? I will have a double, but you don't have to have a double. That's not going to change much of the flavor in your cocktail. And actually, maybe you want a single to be able to like appreciate and enjoy, rather than having a double and feeling a bit definitely the effect of alcohol. So sometimes just reducing it, and you can even ask the bartender, I would love this cocktail, but can you make it lower alcohol? And then twisting. So you can, you know, taking the example of a Negroni, you can say, well, I would love a Negroni cocktail, but actually, can I have, instead of the gin, can I have a non-alcoholic spirit? Or instead of the Campari, can I have something that is non-alcoholic? So switching with the different ingredients that you can have in the bar to then make the cocktail lower ABV. So that's kind of like the 3 different ways that you can do, either to completely remove it, or to reduce it, or to kind of like switch a few ingredients to lower the ABV content with to allow your cocktail to be a bit more mindful. I think that's pretty much like how I will approach the way of like drinking, and knowing that like you don't have to compromise. You know, when you become a mindful drinker, you actually make drinking even more of a celebration. You know, I feel like that I appreciate the cocktail even more, rather than because it's something that is non-alcoholic and tastes delicious, or because it's something that is alcoholic, but I'm really aware of like the quality and the provenance. And if I'm drinking wine, I will go for something that is 100% natural, and all of that is actually really enhancing the experience that you have when you drink. So don't think that like because you will go, you know, you begin your journey as a mindful drinker, either going alcohol free or moderating, that you have to lose the experience or the fun of having a cocktail.
Awesome. And we're going to come back to some questions that have already started popping in, but that idea of experience, and this is what life's about, isn't it? Life's about experiences. Alcohol doesn't. We've been taught that alcohol makes those experiences possible and better, but actually that's not necessarily true. And one experience is eating out, and eating out is always far more problematic because the expectation is wine. It's always about wine. You know, there's a sommelier, and I've been to some Michelin-starred restaurants, Alex, where they've offered me, you know, cola with my meal as the alcohol-free option. How can I stop that from happening?
Well, there's quite a few ways. Certainly, you can bring your own. And many times I've actually turned up with my own bar. So I've got a little wheelie case, a Fortnum & Mason's wheelie case with my selection. Often I will actually phone ahead or just make sure, do you mind? But I think you really have to take control. So just a bit of background about me. My name is Alex Norwood Hill, and I am the Sober Sommelier. And I spent years as a bartender and sommelier at Michelin-star restaurants, some time ago, I might add. But very much enjoying the experience. I mean, what Camille was saying about taste and the social experience of drinking is incredible. The way it brings people together is undoubtedly, it's just, and for me, that ceremony, that ritual, that occasion is just wonderful. It's since the beginning of time we've been doing it, and it's so natural. And if you and that's what's so ironic, is that when people think, oh, take away the alcohol, and then I'm going to lose this ritual that I've had since the beginning of time. Well, no, you don't. And actually, it gets enhanced because your your focus on flavor and your focus on the experience, and you remember a lot more as well. But it's such an up level, a life hack. And I'm not saying in any way as a sober sommelier that, you know, people should go completely sober. You can do whatever you want. Mindful drinking, I totally agree with Camille. You know, there's so many levels and there's so many ways you can do it. So I went sober 3 years ago, and I had a quantum change moment, decided that I was going to do it. I'm glad that I did, but I'm totally, you know, everyone has their own choice. But for me, having worked in the industry, I was getting very frustrated. So I was like, well, what can I drink? And so luckily, it just happened to be as the mindful drinking, thanks to Laura and the people in this little lovely chat, you know, this movement. But obviously 3 years ago, there was not much around. I mean, just quickly, I'm just going to spin this round, right? I'm here in the south of France. Now, this is my attention to detail. All of these drinks I brought with me from the UK, and all of these amazing drinks can be used as wine replacements.
I mean, that didn't go in your hand luggage, did it, Alex? Let's be.
No, I drove down here. So basically, I also, because I love this category. I love sharing my knowledge. I love experimenting. Like today, I was at this wonderful beach bar. Sorry to drop that in, Camille. I was at this amazing beach bar called La Ola, and I forgot to bring all of my drinks with me. They were in the car, and actually my kombucha exploded because it was like 40 degrees in the car. Anyway, that'll teach me for going on holiday. So I went to they served me a Bloody Mary. I thought, right, what am I going to have? I looked at the menu. I was like, oh my God. Okay, I ordered a lovely bottle of rosé from my family. What's really weird is I buy even better wine than I did when I drank, and I buy it for other people. I'm like a feeder. I was like, right, you can have an amazing bottle of rosé, and I'll watch them enjoying that. And then I ordered a Bloody Mary, and I ordered, and I had behind it, I had a Heineken Zero. Now, I'm going to come on to in terms of restaurants and drinks, but what was wonderful is I got this Bloody Mary. It came in this ridiculous glass, like a fluted glass, and it had no spices. And I specifically said I want it spicy. So I marched up to the bar. I said, right, change the glass, give me some lime. Can I have the Worcester sauce? Can I have the Tabasco? Can I have the celery salt? And I made it there. And then I was joking with the barman, and he was like looking a bit ashamed because he hadn't even bothered. He thought, oh, l'anglais, voila. Anyway, and we had a great laugh, and I had this wonderful spicy Bloody Mary that I was then sharing with the whole table. And they all go, oh, that's really nice. It was destroying their rosé, but anyway, never mind. Anyway, so then, and then I had my Heineken Zero behind afterwards. Now, I have here, this is the experience of basically a table beer, but say any drink is enhanced by the ritual ceremony, but by a glass. Now, if you get a crap glass, the first thing you do is you get the waiter over and you say, look, this is not acceptable. I am not in a child's seat. Please, can you get me a decent glass? And so any average beer, I mean, what's wonderful is that for that wine occasion moment, which is what we're now calling it, there are so many amazing drinks, and I drink beer or IPA or binary botanicals, or even Heineken in a wine glass with a meal. And the most important thing is that it can actually stand up to the food, and it cuts across the food that you're eating, and it's that pairing, and that's really you can someone says to me, what's the best, what's the most perfect drink to have with food? And you have lots of questions. Oh, what do I do? Well, a lot of this non-alcoholic wine isn't very good. It's like whatever drink you like and tastes good and can stand up to the food, that is the best drink that you can have with food. It's not about, oh, it's got to be X, it's got to be Y. I mean, there are so many wonderful drinks now. But so it's about exploring, it's about looking at these things. I mean, if you go through a whole meal, I've done a pairing menu, you can start with your, I've even invented my own bittersweet aperitif called Cordis, which is what I would have with a non-alcoholic sparkling wine. Big plug there, sorry. And then you could move into things like acorn aperitifs, which is verjuice, which is unfermented grape juice, things like that. Very good. So, I mean, I won't show you the bottles, but yeah, so that's unfermented grape, grape juice. So it's not made into wine, but it's really complex. It's a wonderful aperitif. Then you can move in across to things like sparkling teas, Copenhagen sparkling tea, and kombuchas. I mean, the real important thing is obviously your glassware, your drink. If you check the menu, as Camille said, if they haven't got what you want, bring your own. Ask to bring your own. Be very wary of corkage, as Laura reminded me. Corkage. Okay, in the UK, if you open a bottle of wine and it's not you order it and you bring your own, you pay about 12 to 15 pounds corkage. That is not a non-alcoholic drink. So a corkage on a non-alcoholic drink. So if I took my bottle of Copenhagen sparkling tea, that's not a plug, but it's a beautiful bottle, and opened it, it's non-alcoholic. So they should be charging you £2, not 15 pounds. And you have to be people, I think it's that confidence as a consumer going, okay, I this is my experience, and I'm actually going to educate the people that are serving me, because at the moment we are educating the people as the mindful drinkers. Always ask for ice. Ice is really important. A really good test. I mean, there are some amazing things now going across to shrubs like motherroot, Somerset shrubs. These are cider vinegars. These and also this beautiful one. I mean, this is a red wine here, a red wine alternative, which is Duke's Cordiality, which is apple cider vinegar. It's so beautiful. You just add water, and the flavor and the great test as well is called the spaghetti bolognese test. It's really scientific. Okay, if you get one of these amazing drinks, there's things like Bucha kombucha and lots of non-alcoholic wines like Outfox and things, but something like this, if you get your spaghetti bolognese and it cuts across and you can actually, it's pairing with it, it's balanced, it's hitting the every aspect of your palate, the front and the back, and it just pairs with that food in a very balanced way. You know that it's doing the trick, and I think, to be fair, that the wines are getting better. Just before, in my mad haste, just before I started tasting, I actually tried this, which is called the Cautious one, which is a Shiraz. And I thought, well, I'll just taste it. I unceremoniously drank it out of the bottle because I was in a rush. It's absolutely delicious. And it actually tastes, it's a Shiraz. And it's just like, what? So it's happening. It's great that this is happening. So finally, one quick story before I move on, or am I done? At my 5 minutes.
Do you want to tell me your quick story? Is it really a quick story?
Very quick. Very quick, super quick. Okay, so I went to Hyde in Piccadilly, which is Oli Dabu. He's a great, this new chef is wonderful, really famous. I went there with my father-in-law and I was treating him, so I bought a sack of cash because it's quite not expensive, not very, it's quite dear in there. Anyway, the wine waiter came over and I said, "Can I have your?" I looked at the menu and I said, "Can I have your most amazing non-alcoholic cocktail? It just dazzle me, blow me away." So he came and he came over and he was like, "Oh, this is wonderful, and it's in this lovely flute and it's this lovely amber color and a little twist." And I was just like, "Oh my God, this is happening. This is amazing." So I drank it. I was just like, "Oh my God," things were just going off. It was just like, this is insane. How are they doing this? This is amazing. So I very quickly, he came over and I just said, "Look, I don't know what you've done here. This is the most amazing. What are you doing here?" And he looked and he's like, "Sorry, monsieur, that is the best alcoholic cocktail aperitif that we do." So yeah, just be careful. just look out. I said, it's lucky that I was a bit surprised. So you just be aware when be clear with your wine waiter. That's all I can say. And you're in charge. There we go.
Absolutely. And I'm so pleased. I get waiters running with hot water for me so I can pair my tea with my meal. Excellent. We'll come back to some questions. There are some coming through. Amber,
okay.
Will we ever laugh again?
No. No, my only tip is get a sense of humor. No, I don't know. I don't know how to teach people to laugh, but I used to be a stand-up comic and I used to have to drink for courage before I got on stage. And it started out just having a couple and then, it ended disastrously. But I eventually got sober and continued to do stand up. And it was more, for me, it was more about like the emotions about the drinking. It's this, I'm excited to hear about all these fancy cocktails, but for me, it was about like peer pressure and dealing with that stuff. So it's hard to give a tip on like how to laugh, but I just think, I had to go from drinking a lot to not drinking and then spending every night in bars around people that were still drinking. So I did have to learn some tricks on how to handle that, the emotions, how to order the drink, how to feel safe and continue to have a good time. And it didn't happen overnight. So if you're out there and even if you found a mocktail and you're feeling uncomfortable, it's totally normal. But I found helpful for me is that most people don't care what I'm drinking. I'm worried about it, but most people don't care. And I think if you're not drinking and you're at a party, you find a different way to socialize. Like I found conversations to be more interesting. I was, it just became more focused and more real. So I don't know what I'm trying to say here. I guess I'm just trying to talk about like going out, having a good time. And I think looking back when I had to have a drink, it was about like self-obsession, about worrying about fitting in or what people thought of me. And now that I haven't had a drink for a while, I realize not many people really care and it's okay to loosen up. And I always think about like the next morning. So I'm thinking no matter where I am at night, if the thought comes to mind that maybe I should have some alcohol, I try to think about the next day and how I want to feel. So those are my tips. And as far as like, going back to comedy, especially if there's any creative people out there who are worried, like I was really worried that I wasn't ever going to be creative again or have fun again without alcohol, that I needed it, that I needed that boost of confidence. It's actually the opposite. For me, I found after the nerves went away, after I got used to it, after I sort of found my groove being alcohol free, there was a deeper sense of what I wanted to be connected to, the types of people, the type of work, the type of person I want to grow older as. And I think like growing old without alcohol is so fantastic. It's just better. It's healthier. And I'm not trying to sell you on anything, but I just think I've had the most amazing times without alcohol. And I'm so thankful that these options are coming up. I can't wait to go to a bar and order something that's fruity. And one of my difficulties is like small dinner parties. It's not like the big ragers. It's actually small dinner parties where I feel safe and I sort of am craving wine. I'm sitting there and I'm like, I wish I had wine with this meal. I get water or I even gave up Diet Coke, but like those smaller parties. So the fact that there is this movement and there are going to be more options, it's really exciting. And like the mindful drinking for me, I'm pretty clear that I can't have one and that's fine. But the whole idea that there is a movement out there of people who don't want to get completely hammered every night and are stopping and thinking it through. It's like, this doesn't happen. I haven't had a drink for 12 years. Back then it was like, you go to a party and they pat you on the back. Here's some water. Gee, thanks. So this is exciting. Hopefully I made sense. I've been living in the woods for 3 years. Lockdown mind. I have no idea what just happened. I feel like I'm in a blackout.
You did make sense. And actually, it's really important. I describe myself as an alcohol-free mindful drinker, and my co-founder UC is a very moderate mindful drinker. He's actually a default alcohol-free, but occasionally drinks. And there are people who've never drunk before who are mindful drinkers. And what makes me so excited about that is exactly the point that you say, Amber, which is that if you were just to take the people who don't drink at all, that's about 4 million people in the UK. Far bigger in the US. But if you add in all the people who are driving tonight, who are pregnant, who are moderating their drinking, and all of that, then that's a market of, in the UK alone, around 20 million people. And that size of market means that we can demand better drinks to fuel our social life. And what I've learned so much is that experiences are everything. I spend as much money as the drinkers when I'm out, but I'm more likely to spend it on dessert and starter and maybe another dessert and other things. And I will bring people with me because the venue's got something I want. So we absolutely need to stop sitting back in the shadows and be a bit more demanding about what we want to drink. And if we want a kombucha with our meal, which I think is one of the most perfect drinks, a non-health food one, but a proper made kombucha, then that's what we should be asking for. So, and somebody on Facebook has said, I love it when Laura gets her stats out. Thanks.
Very impressive.
So don't worry, guys. I'm coming to your questions. I've seen them all, but let's just go to Carly, because the other question we get a lot is about going to festivals and dancing sober.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite topics. I've been sober now from alcohol and cocaine and many other various things for about 12 years. I'm coming up on 12 years in August, which it honestly seems like another lifetime ago in a weird way. And so I'm a sobriety coach and a teacher and a speaker. And Amber, I was laughing because I get on stages now and speak in front of a bunch of people. And in my speech class in college, I used to take shots before I had to speak in front of like 20 people. And now I get on stage and I do it sober. So I could totally relate with that. I think the biggest thing for me when I quit drinking is I didn't want to be boring. And so I kind of set out on this mission, and I've like used the hashtag so many times on Instagram, sober, not boring. And for me, what that looked like and felt like was still continuing to do the things that I love. I freaking love electronic music. I love deep house. My like style of what I like has changed a little bit. I used to kind of really like house music. Now I like a little bit more deep house music. And I've been known to dance in my living room. If you follow me on Instagram, you've seen me doing it. I actually need to have a session sometime soon. I usually just do it in my living room or my garage. And I think it's just like my love of the music and that experience that really helps me to be able to go and actually still enjoy myself sober. So if you're out there and thinking about going to a concert or a festival or a DJ show or a nightclub or something like that, gives you super much, like a lot of anxiety, I'm here to tell you it can be done. I've been to basically every US festival that you could think of sober. I've done Coachella, Electronic Daisy Carnival, BPM, that was actually in Tulum, Winter Music Conference, Ultra Music Festival, and like various other little ones. And what I kind of think the beauty of going to shows and things like that and not drinking is that you really are there for the music. And so what I always kind of encourage people to think through is when you're deciding to go to something, first of all, you need to feel ready. You need to feel like you have the confidence to go and stay really mindful about what your choices are. Most of the people that I work with as a sobriety coach are completely alcohol free. And so that's kind of what we talk about. I think the biggest thing is to make sure that you're really connected with whatever the music is that's happening. So like if I were to be going to a country music festival, I don't really like country music. So I'm not going to feel as connected to the experience, and I'm going to feel a lot more likely to kind of want to check out. So I think the first thing is first, make sure it's something that you feel super connected with before you agree to go. Make sure you feel ready. And kind of decide ahead of time, I think is another really big tip that I have for you. How you're going to navigate things. So maybe it's figuring out what kind of mocktail you want, kind of checking out, like everyone's been talking about, like what kind of menus are available there. Make sure you kind of have a plan in your mind. And I will say that, you know, a lot of the times people have anxiety about doing things and being social, especially when it comes to festivals and nightclubs and things like that. I can 100% tell you that I have had way more fun being sober and staying fully present than I ever did drinking. I, used to kind of black out. Not black out, but I used to make it a lot more about the alcohol than the actual experience. And that's what I kind of loved about what everyone's been talking about, is remembering that this is an experience. So a festival, a concert, a show of any kind, those are experiences, and really you should be there for the experience. Alcohol has always kind of been an accessory to those things, but not a necessity. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there. And for me, I think dancing is such a freeing thing. It really, really is. And I know there's a lot of like anxiety around, well, what am I going to look like? And are people going to judge me? And I think one thing that I like to recommend to people, especially in sobriety, is to just dance and let go and have fun, because so much of why people drink in the first place is because they're trying to control things, whether there's perfectionism, whether there's people pleasing, and we get tired of that. And it's hard to be so critical all the time of ourselves and others. And so dancing is a form of like letting go and surrendering and just allowing yourself to have fun. I personally like to kind of dance in my living room, practice, and just like let go and sort of surrender just to the music that I love. So one thing I highly recommend is just have dance parties of one on your own, whether it's in your room, your garage, your living room, and like see how you feel. I I'm almost willing to bet you money. If you just dance around and jump around and put your favorite music on, you will be smiling. You will have fun, and that will show you that you can have fun. And it's really about moving your body and letting go. So a couple other things that I always like to talk on is ecstatic dance, which is kind of like a free flow dance style. When things are open, a lot of the times like yoga studios or dance studios will have those kinds of things where you're actually there to like almost even close your eyes and dance and not think about it. I think that's a really fun way to still dance and have fun. That's kind of what I practice at home when I do it by myself. There's a movement called Daybreaker that I love. Daybreaker is like sober raves, basically, where you wake up early and you dance. And so I would definitely check them out. Last thing I'll kind of say, or last couple things I'll say on dancing is your emotions are exactly what their name says. They are motion. And so when you're feeling stuck emotions, a really good way to move them around is for you to actually move around. So when you're feeling sad or angry or frustrated, dancing is a great form to like move things around. And so it's such a beautiful thing to practice and to do, and to not let your status with alcohol affect you and your choices there. And, you know, remember, like, the last time you went to a wedding, a lot of the times people get stuck on weddings. We have a ton of fun at weddings, right? And it's because there's people we're laughing with, we're dancing, we're hearing like music that we like, and we let go. It's not the alcohol, it's you having fun and kind of being free. And so I highly recommend dancing and not being afraid to just get out there and go listen to the music that you love and dance around and be free.
Thank you so much, Carly. And yeah, the Daybreakers in the UK, but also Morning Gloryville, and they've been running sober raves all over lockdown on Saturdays. And if you didn't think it was possible online, everyone's still dressed up as unicorns. That's all I can tell you. So they've managed to achieve that, and they're speaking on Saturday evening on the Sober and Social panel. So I've got a couple of questions. First of all, Camille. You won't be able to give all of these, but one of the people is asking about simple recipes that can be made at home, because lots, and I get this too, which is lots of cocktails ask for very complicated syrups that you need to make yourself. And so now they just stick with the seed lip and tonic because it's simple. So what ingredients could they get in to jazz it up? And I know they can look at your YouTube channel as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's loads of different style of cocktail that you can make, from the very more complicated one to the very simple. That could be the one that I mentioned earlier with like that apple juice, ginger beer, soda water, and Angostura bitters. Or I think my favorite is definitely kombucha. I love using kombucha in loads of different cocktails, and it could be just like one of your favorites non-alcoholic aperitif, top up with kombucha, a splash of soda on ice with a garnish, and that's perfect and that's delicious. Or I love also just like infusing herbs or fruit into sparkling water. So like you could do, you know, some rosemary in some sparkling water with some peach, and even just that with like a cordial is just so beautiful and so delicious. So I think that, like, you know, Alex, you mentioned the glassware, and that is so important. I mean, like, you know, I'm drinking non-alcoholic sparkling wine in a coupette, and already I feel like it's a celebration, you know, instantly. And I think that, like, so glassware is really important. Ice is really important, like, you know, to have good ice at home to be able to make cocktail. But also the garnish. I feel like that as soon as you garnish a cocktail, it's just elevate the experience instantly. Not only it looks beautiful, but it also will change the aroma, will change the experience of the cocktail. So you don't have to have something really complicated to make something that is really, you know, with loads of different ingredients. If you have like 2-3 ingredients in a nice glass with some good ice and a garnish. That's a
and
perfect
actually,
cocktail
you've got
for
cocktail
sure.
boxes on Wise Bartender, haven't you? So if anyone wants some of your cocktail boxes, you go into wisebartender.co.uk if you're in the UK and pick those up. I really like your summer cup one, which uses a kombucha and a soda and a beer, which are all small bottles. So you don't have to open a big bottle of something and have it left around. They're all easy things to find in the supermarket. And so it's one of my favourite, alternatives to Pimm's is to use that summer cup as well. Alex, what would somebody have if they wanted a rosé with their barbecue? It's a very specific question.
Okay, well, rosé, there is a Torres Natreo, which is, I think it's Nature, is that right, Camille? I think Natreo. But it's a very good rosé. These people, the box is it's got obviously my butcher kombucha it all over it, so excuse that.
And you've got really bad Wi-Fi, so you're going to have to tell us what it says.
Okay, it says Duke's Cordialities, Duke's, and it's a lovely box, and it opens up, and it comes these natty. You've got it's so cute. You've got 9 of these little bottles inside, and they do a number 1, a number 6, and they've just brought out a number 8. And it's so sweet. Each one, this is with apple cider vinegar, but each one serves, and there's different berries, and the 6 is representing red wine, a wine occasion for red wine. The number 1 is the white, and then the number 8 is a rosé. So Duke's Cordialities number 8. It's absolutely exquisite. It's perfect for rosé. And also, go on.
It's right. I'm just going to add it into the little ticker at the bottom if people are asking. I've just found it online.
This one, Camille knows all about this one. Wildlife Botanicals. This is there we go. Bingo. And in October, you'll be able to get this. So this is gorgeous. This is my bittersweet aperitif.
You've been promising this for so long.
You add it. It's
true.
Yes. So I know. Well, it's finally coming. It is finally coming. That's why I was down in France, just finalising my for where it's. So it's coming, and I'm very excited. I'm so excited to bring it to you. And it's really complex, and it's a bit like Camille's tried it, but it's a version of it. But it's like a really lovely non-alcoholic aperol, but it's perfect for making like a spritz. But it's also great with tonic. But you can also, and this is what I did for a pairing, I mixed it with Sense of Spirits, and I make for sipping, because it's like I wanted that luxury sipping experience. Like after a meal, you want to just have a drink that you just put on ice. There are very few drinks that you can just go, right, I'm just going to put a couple of cubes and have that luxury kind of liqueur feeling. So Sensa is a plant spirit mixed with Cordus, and it's just very, it's just sumptuous and luxurious on ice. So I'm really excited to share that with you guys soon, and you guys will all get one of the first bottles.
Oh, he broke up there. Did you notice that? I think he had bad Wi-Fi. I mean, that's really, it is about finding.
You will get.
It is very difficult because there's actually quite a lot of new drinks out there, but finding them is complicated, and understanding what they taste like is actually why we did the festival to begin with, so people could find their favourite thing, whether that's a soda like Square Root soda, which I really like, their blackcurrant soda with cheese, for example, because it's such a lower sugar soda. It's beautiful. If you go to the Curb Market in central London and go on the cheese conveyor belt, they do with the blackcurrant soda, just amazing. So it is about exploring taste, and your taste buds change as well. So I don't want to always talk about drinks and drinking. Let me just have a look. There's tons more comments come through.
Pairing.
Yes, and as Bryony points out, the Rosé Naturel is in Waitrose and on Wise Bartender. All of the online shops, but Wise Bartender has a whole range of alcohol-free wines, and you're going to need to find the right one. And Amber, you talked about the fact that it's the small wine occasions that you find most difficult, which is me too, when I'm at small occasions with friends. And apparently, even alcohol-free wine should only really be drunk with food, because apparently that's how wine should have only been drunk. Who knew? I wanted to be drunk while you're cooking out of the bottle while you're in your bra. Who knew?
Not delivered at 11 a.m. from some guy in a backpack. What? God.
The names on the bottle. I'm going to try and write down the names of these, but
I put it down as well. I already put it down. wildlife botanicals.
I'm going to wildlife. If you go onto the festival website, wildlife botanicals are there on the mindfuldrinkingfestival.com, and the Duke's link is at the bottom.
And then there's also Zira, which is amazing wine.
Zira is incredible.
And you can find at a Holland and Barrett. They have loads of different reds.
I'm going to give you
white wine and rosé. They have sparkling. They also have Pierre Zero, which has like loads of different wines. So there is like I feel like the wine category is slowly catching up and bringing some more delicious alternatives.
I'm going to put on the bottom ticket that there's lots of wines on the festival website.
And then I might be on Sunday brunch in a couple of weeks talking about non-alcoholic wine and sangria. Loads of recipes.
Brilliant. Yes. And 9 elms. Don't forget 9 elms. 9 elms is good as well.
They're on the website. I'm running out of characters. It gives me a character limit on this ticker, people. Who knew? So I'm going to do that across the bottom again. Let me just check that there are any questions. Carly, what do you do if you go to a festival and it's like a really beery festival? What do you do about drinks? Do you take your own?
Most of the time festivals, they're not going to let you bring stuff in. They're pretty strict on bringing liquids in because they want to make sure there's no drugs. So unfortunately you can't bring your own. I usually try to go with like some kind of mocktail of some kind, even if I have to get like really crafty. I don't really like beer, so it's never really been my thing. Some of the times if it's a beer style like place or festival, they will have non-alcoholic beer like the O'Doul's or something along those lines. It's like a pretty standard one, at least here in the US. So you could try that. Or a lot of the times, if you just ask the bartender, as long as they're not completely slammed to make you something, they will. So like kind of a go-to for me is pineapple Sprite. That's kind of what I like to get, is pineapple Sprite. Or you can get like a club soda and the lime. You can kind of just, when you're at a festival, they don't typically have like a full bar. So you kind of have to work with what you've got. Unfortunately, most places aren't going to let you bring something in. But if you talk to the bartender and kind of like Alex said, make sure you're very specific that you don't want alcohol in it if that's not what you're going for. So that's kind of what I like to do, is just sort of kind of become allies with the bartender. And then I kind of keep going back to that same one and, you know, let them give me stuff to try that for me, I like to have no alcohol in.
Yeah, it's Glastonbury would have been better this year, I can tell you, because we'd spoken to sponsors about their bars and we were beginning to talk to them about that. Going out to comedy is still really boozy though, Amber. I get pissed off with all the drunk people around me now. Yeah, I used to be one of them.
Hecklers.
And hecklers. How can we still go to comedy and still, I mean, I find you don't need a drink at comedy.
Comedy's pretty easy because there's not really much pressure. It's like going to a film almost. You sort of sit back and enjoy yourself. But going out in general, I love what Carly was saying. Remember that it's an experience. You know, you don't have to. You can soak it in as much as you like put it out. I used to be the person that just had to be like, actually, just be quiet and soak up what's happening around you and be present as opposed to trying to control everything and make stuff happen. So yeah, comedy, you'll remember what the jokes are maybe if you just sit there and listen. And you won't get kicked out.
There's a big difference between in the morning having a note that you had a good laugh and actually remembering the good laugh. And I think that's the big difference for me these days, which is that often when you woke up with a hangover, you had the essence of it, that you had a good time, but that all the details have completely gone. And now that's not the case anymore. And I can, send, funny stuff to people the following day about our night out because I've remembered it. And so
instead of apologies.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's cool. So let me just have a little look. Everyone wants to know how to hack drinking, going out and drinking, and what to drink instead. I have to say, I take my own drinks all the time, and if you get stuck, then some of the spirits in a Muji shampoo bottle, squeezy shampoo bottle, pimp your own tonic all evening. But I don't care. I used to get thrown out of pubs all the time, and now I take my own. I don't. That's gonna be something wrong about that, right?
I also feel like that if we keep on doing that, at some point people will realize that they have to step up their game. If your guests keep on bringing things into your venue, that means your offer is not on point.
I should have brought the cards that we have. We have free cards that you can get on our website that you can leave at venues if you think their choices weren't good enough, and to say that they need to up their game. It says times have changed, and if they're really good, there's also a card for you to say thank you so much for having some really good drinks. They're free on our website if anyone wants to pick them up. So if you are somebody who doesn't like to have a fight with a bartender like me and Camille and Alex and Carly in particular, then you can leave a card, and that's one way to do it. But yes, we can begin to change this. For me, this is about a quality of experience. Somebody was talking in the questions about not being served the half a pint tumbler, and it shoved at you as if you're, as I say, as if you're about 12 and about to go and wait in the car park for your dad. You want an experience, and all of being sober is about enjoying those experiences to their full. And if someone isn't stepping up to the game and treating you like an equal customer, whether that's, in a comedy venue or whether that's in a club or in a festival, then we need to start saying, because then it will get better for the person who comes along after us. And I think that's a really important thing to do. Comedy clubs are still a bit shocking with their drink ranges. They still need to do a lot of work on that. Hotels, the big hotel chains, shocking. But the pubs are actually quite good in the UK. How are they in the States, Carly? Are they beginning to change?
I was just going to say, it is starting to get a lot better, especially like on the West Coast, because that's where I am. I actually recently just did like a pretty big road trip to a bunch of just like random remote places during lockdown here. And I was actually really pleasantly surprised. I always think about you, Laura, to go in some of these places and look at their menus. And I always try to share on my Instagram when I find a cool mocktail menu. And I will say that it is getting better, one. And two, bartenders, especially like at restaurants and whatnot, they actually, if they're not slammed and it's not like their happy hour or whatever, they actually kind of like to make something different where they have to get creative. Like I went to a really fancy restaurant and I ended up sitting at the bar with a friend, and I just told the bartender right up front, I don't drink, but can you make me something cool? And she ended up making me like the best mocktail I've ever had. It was like strawberry soda mint, and she put it in a martini glass with like sugar around the rim. And I ended up tipping her so much because I was so thankful that she was willing to sort of like, work with me on that. And then she wanted to make me more. And I kind of was like, well, is she going to charge me like $10 per drink? But I honestly didn't care. I would have paid. And then she ended up not charging me at all, because obviously she was kind of enjoying it, and I think she appreciated my honesty. So it is getting better. I am going to go get some of those cards and print them off though, because I really pay attention to this. You're always kind of like in the back of my mind when I go in somewhere.
I'm sorry.
No, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. I tell people about you all the time.
I'll send you a pack of the cards. And there's also a new scheme in the States called the PIN, which is THEP.IN, which is bartenders in the States who have given up drinking, and they've got a special PIN, and so you can talk to them and they will find you a drink. Obviously not sure how far that's gone with every bar being closed at the moment. But, what I've discovered, and what Camille will tell you, is that younger bartenders don't want to be piss heads either. So there is actually, this is something that there are huge numbers of people in the industry who want for their own health as well. And that has got to be worth supporting too. Yes, somebody's talking about the choice of who went? Alex's internet finally gave in. The other thing I do a lot of is complaining at events where you walk into an event and there's drinks on a tray, and then if you're not drinking, you get pointed to a warm jug of concentrated orange juice in the end of the room to serve yourself. Oh no, that's my big no. For a start, it's not 1918, it's not breakfast. So that's got to stop. I'm a guest. Why? Because I'm a guest not drinking. Am I suddenly other and treated differently? So again, being able to talk about those things, and corporate events are big for those. Your workplace might do that and stuff like that. So I've written so many articles on our website ranting about these things.
Good.
But come back down to this equality of experience, and that we deserve as good a social life, and it shouldn't all revolve around alcohol being the core part of an experience. So we've lost Alex. Is there anything anybody else wants to say? There's no more questions. I've gone through them. Amber.
I just wanted to say that with the alcohol on the tray going around at the events, years ago when I was trying to moderate or quit, this was like 15 years ago, I was at an event and I probably had 6 months without drinking, and I was at a friend's book signing, and I was really nervous, and people just kept walking by with wine on the tray, wine and champagne. That's all there was. And I was actually thirsty, and I started drinking again because I was like, it kept walking by my face. And I don't remember how hard I tried to find something else, but it was just like, if there was something else offered, being like, oh, we have wine, or we have.
Wait a minute. Yeah, it's Alex, probably. I can kick him out of the studio. Wait a minute. Kick guest. I feel really naughty. Oh, it isn't Alex.
It's still there. Sounds like a helicopter.
We have a noise, but anyway.
I just was chiming in on the alcohol on the trays.
Yeah, it's also worth saying that if you go to big events for your work, like big award events, they're all catered for on a 3-course meal and half a bottle of wine. And if you're not drinking, you have to pay for an alcohol-free drink yourself. And this is ridiculous. And the LGBTQ awards last year, they were giving out awards to people who were running recovery projects and then not providing anything to drink. And the thing that, Camille and I keep saying to people is alcohol-free drinks are for everybody. They're not just for people who aren't drinking. Drinking isn't the default. There are people driving home. There are people who are pregnant. There are people who just don't want to drink tonight. There are people who are going for a run tomorrow. And so, again, it's that constant forgetting that there are other customers and there are other people that want to be there. So what we have here in front of you, everybody, is a group of people who are taking the fight really to the venues and the places and the experiences that we go to. You need to be part of that fight too. I'm going to thank everybody. Alex isn't moving anymore, but we don't care. He's in the south of France, so we're a little bit jealous anyway. Can I thank all of my guests? I've allowed us to go on a bit longer as organisers' privilege, but I can see Gareth, our producer, is now saying that he thinks I should wrap up. This has created a lot of discussion and debate. It is a topic that is coming on throughout the week. And if any of you want to have more conversations about this, I've got all sorts of workplace leaflets that I give to places and all sorts on the Club Soda website. Thank you all for coming along. I'm going to end this broadcast now, and thank you.
Thank you.